The conversation surrounding a potential Canelo Alvarez vs Terence Crawford rematch has shifted from excitement to disbelief as one shocking figure dominates every headline: $100 million. That is the amount reportedly demanded by Terence Crawford for a second meeting with the Mexican superstar. And the ripple effect of that single number has the boxing world questioning not only the rematch itself, but the future of the sport under the new financial ecosystem created by Saudi Arabia's investment in boxing. For many observers, this is not simply a negotiation issue. It is a symbol of a runaway market where expectation, ego, and inflated purses threaten the very sustainability of the sport. The first fight between Canelo and Crawford had already raised eyebrows. According to Turki Alashiek, the driving figure behind Saudi Arabia's boxing events, Canelo was paid over $100 million for that fight. Now, as conversations about a rematch begin, Crawford's camp reportedly insists that he deserves the same. If Canelo's contract guarantees him another nine-figure payday, that means the rematch alone would require at least $200 million before a single seat is filled, before promotional costs, before global staging and marketing, before anything else. That staggering figure represents nearly $250 million spent on a single fight. And unlike novelty spectacles or historical events, this rematch faces a unique problem. Many fans do not believe it would be competitive. The narrative built from commentators, journalists, and post-fight analysts leaned heavily toward Crawford's dominance. The story told to the public was not of a razor-close matchup but of a one-sided masterclass. When a fight is sold as lopsided, the appetite for a second chapter evaporates. Fans question why they should spend their money again. Broadcasters hesitate to commit. Even hardcore fight enthusiasts wonder whether the outcome could be any different the second time around. And yet, because Saudi Arabia has been willing to break every traditional financial rule to pull massive events into their orbit, many fighters now expect the exceptional to become normal. Crawford's demand is not simply a number. It is a consequence of a financial model that rewarded fighters far beyond market value and created a dangerous new expectation. But in the eyes of critics, Turki Alashiek and the new Saudi boxing model are now confronting the downside of their own generosity. When an ecosystem is built on limitless spending, fighters naturally push for more. The belief becomes simple: if 100 million was possible once, why not again? Why not always? And so demands escalate, reality blurs, and negotiations enter territories previously reserved only for megastars like Floyd Mayweather. Yet even Mayweather, who famously amassed record-breaking purses, did so with global pay-per-view numbers that justified the checks. Crawford has never proven to be a massive commercial draw in the United States. And even Canelo's immense fanbase cannot carry a $200 million fight to profitability. Consider the math. To break even, the rematch would need to sell somewhere close to 5 million pay-per-view buys at premium pricing. That has happened only a handful of times in the history of boxing, all under perfect circumstances and star alignment. This rematch simply does not have that energy. And beyond pay-per-view, staging the event also requires renting a stadium, filling it, managing production, transporting teams, paying undercard fighters, handling promotion, and more. Every aspect adds cost. Every factor increases pressure. And the reality is glaring. This fight cannot possibly return the investment needed to justify it. Even for a nation as wealthy as Saudi Arabia, the logic begins to strain. One super event may be affordable. Two may be symbolic. But repeated nine-figure offerings quickly become unsustainable. If fighters begin expecting this new standard, the cost of major fights will skyrocket beyond reason. And if boxing becomes financially bloated, no traditional market, not the United States, not the United Kingdom, not Mexico, can maintain pace. The sport risks fracturing into two incompatible worlds. One where economics matter and one where spectacle overrides sustainability. Fans have already seen signs of this inflation creep into other conversations. Fighters with minimal drawing power suddenly demand eight-figure deals. Lesser champions expect Mayweather-style guarantees. Social media speculation fuels unrealistic expectations. And now, as Crawford asks for $100 million, many see it not as a negotiation tactic, but as a symptom of a sport losing touch with marketplace reality. The biggest fear among purists is that this trend could ultimately collapse under its own weight. If fighters refuse reasonable paydays, promoters cannot deliver consistent cards. If purse demands exceed potential revenue, broadcasters will pull back. If the sport becomes dependent solely on Saudi investment, every non-Saudi market shrinks. And if Saudi Arabia itself eventually reduces spending, whether due to economics, political shifts, or losses, The sport will be left with fighters trained to expect mountains but suddenly faced with deserts. The irony is that this inflation does not strengthen the sport. It weakens it. It widens divisions between fighters and promoters. It creates battles in negotiation rooms instead of in the ring. It pushes networks to question their investment and forces fans to reconsider whether certain matchups are worth the financial cost. And it exaggerates the importance of spectacle over merit, market demand, or competitive balance. Even smaller stories now echo with absurdity. Fighters who cannot sell half an arena suddenly claim tens of millions in guaranteed deals. Rumors swirl of fabricated offers and imaginary contracts. The influence of Saudi spending has distorted expectations so dramatically that even modest numbers now feel insulting to fighters who once would have been grateful for them. The sport is drifting into a fantasy economy where financial logic no longer applies, until, inevitably, it must. The truth is simple. Boxing cannot sustain a world where every major event costs $200 million. And no promoter, whether in Saudi Arabia or elsewhere, can indefinitely survive paying massive sums that will never be recovered. Eventually, financial gravity returns. It always does. As for the Canelo vs. Crawford rematch, the conversation now feels more like an ongoing saga about money than a real discussion about sport. The fight could still happen. But at what cost? And to whom? Fans are left wondering whether the price of boxing's new era will ultimately be paid not in dollars, but in the long-term health of the sport itself. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Saudi Arabia's spending is helping or hurting boxing? Is Crawford justified in asking for $100 million? Would you pay to watch a second fight between him and Canelo? Drop your thoughts below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into boxing's financial reality, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next breakdown of the biggest stories shaking the sport.